We're really pleased to have representatives from DRS here today. DRS is, an integral part of employment, seeking employment, supporting our kids in their employment opportunities, so I appreciate them being here to present. Louis Hamer is the Bureau Chief, Field Services for the Illinois Department of Human Services, Division of Rehab Services, so DHS-DRS. Lou began his work at DHS-DRS as a rehabilitation counselor in 1984 and has held numerous positions, including Regional Education Resource Coordinator, Statewide Manager of the Community Resources Unit, and Assistant Bureau Chief. Cindy Liburn is here to support Lou and compliment Lou. And she's been employed by Illinois DHS-DRS for 7 years, and where she's the Rehabilitation Service Supervisor for the Arlington Heights office. Her previous experiences include rehabilitation counseling, work with the Department of Children and Family Services as a caseworker and supervisor, and a teacher at all grade levels and all disabilities. We found out this past week that Cindy's going to be leaving the Arlington Heights office and going to Westchester, right? So I want to say now that I've appreciated your help. Whenever I call, you take my call and answer my emails, and we're going to miss you a lot. So thank you for what you've done for us. So please help me welcome Lou and Cindy. Here's for your help.
Good afternoon. Can I ask you a question? How many of you have never heard of the Division of Rehabilitation Services? Everyone has. I guess we can leave. Good. The Division of Rehabilitation Services, we are a state agency, but we are primarily federally funded. Now, when I say we are federally funded, I'm talking about the rehabilitation portion of DRS. DRS is actually made up of 4 bureaus. Field Services, which I am the Bureau Chief for, and within Field Services, we have 45 field offices. Those offices provide services directly to our customers in regards to employment, education, training, those type of things. We also have the Bureau of Blind Services, which are also housed in our 45 offices, but it is much smaller. They do the same thing that we do, but they serve a smaller disability requirement. And then we have our Home Services program, Bureau of Home Services. Home Services serves individuals who are at risk of going into independent living centers in regards to, we try to keep them at home, not independent living centers.
Nursing homes.
Nursing homes. The point of home services is to keep them in their home so that they don't have to go into a nursing home. They're also housed in the 45 offices. We have a bureau chief in Springfield for home services, but I'm over the field staff for home services in those 45 offices. And then we have the Bureau of Disability Determination. Ron talked a lot about that portion this morning. You may not have recognized what Bureau of Disability Determination is. It is a unit that is in Springfield that makes individuals in Illinois eligible for Social Security benefits. So if you think you'll be made eligible by the Social Security Administration, you are, but they do the work for the Social Security Administration in Springfield. And in Illinois, at any given time, we have anywhere from 600 to 700,000 individuals that they are making eligible on a regular basis. And they also keep up with those records. They also work with Ticket to Work. I work with them through Ticket to Work because a lot of the things that happen in regards to Ticket to Work affects what is happening in the field. When Ron talked about the employment networks, the Division of Rehabilitation Services is also an employment network. So any individual who comes to us who has a ticket, we can take that ticket and put it into play, meaning that that individual has a vocational goal and they are working towards a vocational objective. And then they do have, someone asked a question earlier, how long is that ticket good? That ticket has timelines on it. And you have to progress within a certain period of time towards your employment goal. And if you don't progress towards your employment goal, your reviews kick back in. So as long as you're progressing, you don't have to go through that review to determine if you're still eligible for Social Security benefits. Now, this is Cindy Liburn. She is the supervisor currently of our Arlington Heights office. She will be leaving that position May 1st, moving to the supervisor position in Westchester. Cindy has been with us in Arlington Heights about 7 years.
7.5.
7.5 years. She's not leaving the agency, she's just moving closer to home. Division of Rehab Services, our mission is we're the state lead agency serving individuals with disabilities in regards to employment. DRS works in partnership with people with disabilities and their families to assist them in making informed choices to achieve full community participation through employment, education, and independent living opportunities. Can anyone tell me what age we at DRS may start working with someone? 18, someone said 18, someone said 16, 22, 14. In Illinois, the employment age is 14 and a half. 14 and a half. You have to be a freshman in high school. So if you're 14 and a half, 15, and you're still in middle school, we can't work with you. But if you're in high school, we can start that process. We are made up of 5 regions. You are currently in Region 1, Cook County. Cook County has 11 offices, Westchester being one of the suburban offices, and Chicago Heights being the other suburban office. The other offices are all in the city of Chicago for Region 1. That says 13, I think that's a misprint. Region 2 is the Chicago suburbs outside of Cook County. So Region 2 consists of Waukegan, Rockford, Freeport, Sterling, DeKalb, Aurora, Kankakee, Joliet, Downers Grove, and Elgin. We have Region 3, that's Rock Island to Danville. So it kind of goes everywhere else that I didn't mention, all the way down to the middle of the state and across. And then we have Region 4, that is our smallest region, that is Quincy, Jacksonville, Springfield, Decatur, and Mattoon. And then we have Region 5, south of Region 4, which is everything near Missouri and Kentucky, all the way down to Anna, East St. Louis, those areas. We have 4 assistant bureau chiefs. Keith McKinley is the assistant bureau chief for Region 1. Jim Knopf is the assistant bureau chief for Region 2. Michelle Scott Turvin is the assistant bureau chief for Region 3. And we combine Regions 4 and 5, that is Randy Staten. Again, the program components that I talked about, we have the Bureau of Field Services. Those are the offices that I'm responsible for. We have 45 offices that I cover, and we have 1 office in Chicago that I'm not responsible for, and that is our AIDS unit. We have Bureau of Blind Services. Again, they're in those offices, but they don't have staff in all 45 offices because they don't have the same number of customers that we do. That's our home services program, and then BDDS, disability determination. We also have 3 state schools, ISVI, ISD, and ICRE Wood Street. ICRE Wood Street is in Chicago. The other 2 are in Jacksonville. And then we have independent living, and then client assistance program. So anyone who becomes a customer for DRS, if they have any issues and they want to appeal our decisions, we have CAP, the client assistance program. What they don't have on here is the ombudsman program now that we use for the home services program. Bureau of Field Services, we assist persons with disabilities in achieving independent living, self-sufficiency, and employment. If someone is going to go to work, but they're going to work in developmental training or at a CRP and not in the community, would they come to the Division of Rehabilitation Services? Your best guess? No. You're absolutely right. There's criteria that in order to be eligible for our services, you have to be an individual with a disability, and you have to be able to benefit from our services. Now, we have a lot of disabilities. Oh man, where did you guys go? But just because I can't see without my glasses doesn't mean that I meet the criteria of being an individual with a disability. There's certain categories that the federal government allows us to say that this person has a disability, and there's only 2 entities outside of rehabilitation services that can determine whether someone is eligible for our services, the initial phase of being eligible of having a disability. That is the Social Security Administration and your school districts. Social Security makes a determination, well, BDDS makes a determination that someone is eligible for Social Security disability, or SSI, which means that they automatically have a disability. School districts, through virtue of they provide special ed services, and they make individuals eligible for special ed, those individuals automatically meet our first criteria as far as being determined to have a disability. Now, the benefit part comes into play. Can they benefit from VR services, which means can they work independently in the community? That is the second part. So you may have a disability and not be eligible because you cannot benefit. When someone comes to us, they have to go through an application process. I mentioned earlier that we are an eligibility program. We are not an entitlement program. You have to meet those eligibility requirements. So you make a referral, you come in for an initial interview, we gather documentation to determine eligibility. Then we have to go through a certification process. We determine that the applicant meets the eligibility requirements and continue with services. Those services can consist of providing counseling and guidance, information and referral, training, restorative, and placement. Placement, applicant achieves stability in employment for a minimum of 90 days. At one point it was 60 days, but the feds have determined that 90 days is the goalpost now. And we do not get any credit if someone works in a sheltered environment. We cannot place individuals in a sheltered environment. Eligibility again continues if that individual has a physical or mental impairment that constitutes or results in a substantial impediment to any employment. The individual requires our services to prepare for, secure, retain, or regain employment. So even if we place you and you go to work and you work 90 days, you work 2 years, you work 10 years, can you come back to us after that? Now, you've already been working. Can you come back again? You sure about that? Okay. This is a real wise group. They know what's going on. You are absolutely right. But at what age can you not come back?
65.
65? Why is that? Because you should be retired by then?
Yes, sir.
No, that's incorrect. There is no age limit. You can come back to us at any point that you can continue to benefit from employment. We don't have a cutoff. The only cutoff is in our home services program. When you get over the age of 60, you have to go to the Department of Aging. Individual is presumed to be able to benefit from VR services in terms of an employment outcome again, and then the individual must want to go to work. So they can be able to work, and if they don't want to work, we have to make them ineligible. So we get a lot of referrals. People referring family members saying they want to go to work, and then when we call and say, can you come in for an interview? What am I here for? I don't want to work. We close that case. Home services, again, provide services to individuals with significant disabilities so they can remain in their homes and live as independently as possible. Through home services, individuals have the opportunity to live self-directed lives, function actively in the community, retain control over services they receive, We have an AIDS waiver program and a TBI waiver program. In order to be eligible for home services, you have to be at imminent risk of health care facility placement. Severe disability lasting at least 12 months of life. Requires services with cost the same or less than nursing home services. Under the age of 60 at the time of application. A resident of Illinois and a U.S. citizen or legal resident. You have to have a physician's approval of initial care plan, and then less than $17,500 in non-exempt assets for customers 18 or older, or $35,000 in family assets for customers under age 18. You have to apply and cooperate with the Medicaid process because it is a Medicaid-funded program. Primary services, we provide personal assistance, someone to come into your home. We pay those individuals, they send in their time, we process it and send a check out. We do that twice a month for all IPs statewide. We call them individual providers now, not personal assistants. We have over 30,000 individuals that we're paying checks for, and we have about 30,000 customers that we're serving in the home services program. And I didn't talk about the VR side, we serve about 50,000 customers a year. There's homemaker services, maintenance home health, 24-hour electronic home response, adult daycare, and home-delivered meals. Bureau of Blind Services. They assist adults who are blind or visually impaired in rediscovering their independence and freedom by helping them. There was a time when we could take outcomes for individuals who just needed to learn how to get around their home. They were not really going into the community, but as of last year, the feds don't allow that anymore, so their homemaker closures have been discontinued. Those individuals, we also assist them to find and maintain employment, achieve educational goals, attain necessary training, maintain independent living goals. And then BDDS we talked about, but we'll go through it again, determines the eligibility of people to receive benefits from the Social Security Disability Insurance or the Supplemental Security Income. Client Assistance Program, CAP. This program was funded by the Federal Rehab Act of 1973. CAP counselors provide advocacy and guidance in pursuing legal, administrative, or other appropriate remedies to ensure the protection of the customer's rights under the Act. CAP counselors are available to assist both VR and HSP customers, and that's been tweaked a little bit now. HSP, you go through the Ombudsman program. Education services, we have the Illinois School for the Visually Impaired in Jacksonville. It offers students with visual impairments quality services which will enable them to become personally productive, self-sufficient citizens. Illinois School for the Deaf is also in Jacksonville. Educate students who are deaf or hard of hearing and prepare them to be responsible, self-supporting citizens. And then you have the Illinois Center for Rehabilitation and Education, ICRE, provides a comprehensive transition program for students with physical disabilities and other health impairments who have completed their high school education but have deferred their high school diplomas. Centers for Independent Living.
A network of 23 DRS-funded centers providing 4 core services to DRS customers: advocacy, independent living skills, information and referral services, peer counseling, and focus also on customer self-direction and control. So the Centers for Independent Living are located geographically throughout the area. For us, we work with the Progress Center up in the north side. In the city of Chicago, they work with Access, and they are another organization that can help our customers. Contacting us, you can call us by phone, mail, or office walk-in. If you want to contact the Arlington Heights office, you can call us at 847-758-3483. If you want to make a referral, You can call us on the phone and just tell us you want to make a vocational rehabilitation referral or a home services referral, or you can go on the DHS website and put in a web referral.
You're here because of transition. And I guess you want to know what services are there for individuals 14 and a half to 24. Well, the federal government just recently changed the requirements on us in regards to the type services we can provide for individuals who are in high school and then those before the 25th birthday. STEP transition. We work with school districts across the state, and we develop agreements with the school districts to provide services to them so that they have some funding to assist students who they are placing in the community to get experiences while they're still in high school. Illinois is one of the few states that has what we call a statewide program for transition. Most other states, they're usually in the metropolitan areas, but in Illinois, we're in over 660 high schools statewide. About 40% of all of the customers that we serve on an annual basis are in high school. Those individuals transition from high school, we continue to work with them. We do not close those cases. What are they eligible for? Well, while they're in high school, the school district has the primary responsibility of providing the services, but we provide the funding to assist. We don't have the primary responsibility. We don't come into the school and take over what they're doing. The federal government made a change recently under WIOA that said that we have to spend 15% of all of our federal dollars on students in high school. And now we have another category that we have to spend money on, and that's potentially eligible. So any student who's in high school that may not be a part of the STEP program, but has a disability, we have to go out and do our best to let them know that we are there in case they need services. Not every high school has STEP. So there's a lot of students who, even though we could work with them while they're in high school, if the school district does not have a formal STEP program, there's nothing we can go in and provide for them, but we can go in and open a case in their senior year and begin that transition process so that they don't fall through the cracks once they graduate. When they graduate, some of the services that we can provide, we make referrals to our community partners, CRPs, community rehab programs. And who are they in this area? Your CRPs.
Oh, we have a lot of CRPs.
Okay,
You're asking for vendor names?
Yes, and just give us a few.
Jewish Vocational Services, Little City is a big one. Pioneer,
North Point?
North Point, Thresholds. Well, Thresholds we're not working with as much, but Total Link we work with a lot, and they do customized employment. They're trained in customized employment. We can talk about that a little more later.
Okay, so, and those agencies, they provide two primary services to our customers. We have what we call a milestone contract. That is to place individuals who can go into a job now who are not going to need long-term services, get that 90-day employment, and then they get paid for that placement. We also have supported employment, which is a much longer term that they have to be with that individual, could be up to 2, sometimes 3 years to make sure that they don't lose the job. They need a little bit more support. And that's where customized support, customized services will come into play, because those individuals can work, but they need a job coach or help on the job site for an extended period of time. We also have what we call the Community College Initiative. Has anyone heard of that one? Few people. In Illinois, if you want to go to a community college, a 2-year college, we will work with you, as long as you have a grade point average, to be accepted by that 2-year school. Normally, we would ask your family what is the family income. We would determine how much the family would pay and then what we would pay. But if you go to an Illinois community college, we don't take family income into account. We pay 100% of the cost, as long as you maintain a C average. And it's a 2-year program but we give you up to 3 years to get your associate's degree. So we'll pay for that program without asking the family to contribute anything, maybe transportation, those kind of things, but the books and the cost of tuition, we pay. That is one of the fastest growing programs that we have right now. We have a lot of kids who previously would have asked to go to a 4-year school, but now that they don't have to worry about paying anything, we have more going to community colleges, and we have more getting associates, degrees, which is a good thing. Then once they transition over to the 4-year school, we do take into account the family's income. We also at that point take into account financial aid, grants, and scholarships. We are a payee of last resort, so if you have any scholarships or grants, those will be subtracted first before we pay. We're fighting with the University of Illinois Urbana-Champaign right now because they want to take those grants out when they're eligible for DRS and give it to other people. And we're like, no, you're really ripping our budget off if you do it that way. They are eligible for the grant, you have to give it to them. So they're rethinking that. On those colleges in Illinois, those 4-year schools, we have what we call university counselors who are actually housed at some of our universities. They're there so that they can work directly with the students. If those students are having any issues, need tutors, need whatever it may be, we're there to provide that service for them. And that is at SIU, Carbondale, NIU, Western Illinois University, and the University of Illinois Urbana-Champaign. And that's all those counselors do is work with those students on those campuses. They don't take any other cases. We've been, I think, very successful with that, especially at the University of Illinois Urbana-Champaign, even though we're having issues with the financial part with them. You would be surprised how many customers they see from other states who want to come to school and go to school there because of the dorm that they have that is specifically made to assist individuals with disabilities. That creates a problem for us many times, but we cannot deny those individuals, and can anyone guess why, even though they're from another state? What is it? Federal funds, exactly. It's federal money, so it goes from state to state to state. We can send our customers, if they want to go to a school in Arizona, they can, and Arizona will have to serve them, VR. We talked about the placement services. Other things we do in particular, we work with Walgreens. You guys ever heard of them? Yeah, they do a good job. We work with their distribution center in Mount Vernon and now Edwardsville. They place a lot of customers there for us in the southern part of the state. We work with Walgreens up here. We used to have a program where we would train individuals to go work for Walgreens. We're currently meeting with Amazon. They have 2 sites that they want us to refer to them customers. They're talking about 500 individuals that they would like to place who have individuals with disabilities. That is in Crest Hill and Goose Island in Chicago. Now, we haven't actually set the agreement with them yet because the agency that they are going through, we've got to work out the details how much we're going to pay them. We're not going to pay them as we normally would because they don't have to do the legwork that they normally would have to do because the jobs are right there. All they're going to do is have a job coach there to assist the individuals who come on board, and not everyone will need that assistance. So they don't have to go out and find a job. Amazon has said, we want to place 500 people right now. So we'll see how that works. We're talking with Wisconsin and a few other states, California, to see how they set it up when Amazon came to town, and we're going to kind of mark what they're doing. That is kind of what I have. I think it's a good time to ask if you have any questions.
Regarding the Illinois Center for Rehabilitation Education program, my son right now, he's currently in a transition program. And I would like to have the your office to be involved before he finished that transition program. And when I talked to the transition place that he's at, they don't even know what I'm talking about. When I talk to the school district, they don't know what I'm talking about. And when I have talked to the office as well, they don't know what I'm talking about. So I just want to know, well, who do I need to talk to so all of these people, they can get educated. And another thing too, I'm usually supposedly need to go to the Arlington Heights office, and then I would like to know if there's okay if I can start a case in the Kane office, because the Kane office in Elgin is very close to my home, and the Arlington Heights is very far away. So I just need to get just how to get all of those people together. So my son probably will be in the transition program maybe like another year, and I don't want him after being in the transition program being out of the world with no sort of support out there. Thank you.
I'll answer the second part first. You want to go to the Elgin office instead of the Arlington Heights office? That's okay. The only issue, though, is if you choose to go to an office outside of your area, you have to go to that office. They won't come to you. So as long as it's closer to you and you want to go there, that's not a problem. You can make a referral and put on there that you would like to be served by the Elgin office. They will contact you and ask you to come in and your son for an intake interview. As far as ICRE, right now, I would suggest you have Cindy here. Call Cindy, let her look into your son, if we have a case on him or not, and then she can communicate with me, and we'll try to get information for you and then get that information back to you.
What was that phone number now, please?
847-758-3483. May I just add something? You mentioned transitioning from a program to adult services office. That's something that we do. You would just make a referral the last year of the senior year to our office, and we can have you come in and have an appointment with the counselor, and we can start working with your child. I'd just like to recognize NSSEO quickly. We work with NSSEO a lot, and we have worked in transitioning with them so that they identify students in the senior year of high school, and I have counselors that actually go out to the high school and meet with the student in the high school and get to know them before they graduate. Then we are transferring the cases early in the year before they graduate, and they'll start transitioning to work with the adult services counselor. So I would like to give a little shout out to Becky Dusick in the back. Becky has just been promoted to the position as transition specialist, and Becky has been highly involved with working with us to transition these cases. We also have identified students who will be going to the community college, and Becky's been a part of that too. And the counselors have gone over to the high schools and met with the student in the high school and started working on their college goal. Then the college cases are transferred to us early in the year. We're making the transfers right now.
Hello, thank you for being here on Saturday. As far as the community college initiative is concerned, what's the process? How do we go about applying for that, or what are the criteria, restrictions?
Call your local office in Arlington Heights.
Okay.
Refer your student for services, and if you have any documentation, psych, social, medical, IEP, all of that information, get it to us, because we can use that to expedite the process to make that individual eligible. And then we have to determine if you have been accepted by a community college, Illinois, then we can go from there.
So this individual is already at Harper studying as part of his associate's program. But if there's help for him or her to get help with the tuition, that would be great.
he can call even though he's already there. It's not an issue.
In regard to that topic, is that only for programs that are credit college courses? Because there are a number of programs that have, they have like a work component and they
Yeah, take
have some coursework sometimes that, unfortunately, in this, many of the programs in this part of the country are, the academic portion are not for credit. But we're seeing more growth in that area, and I'd like to know what sort of assistance might be available for those types of programs that are not necessarily college credit programs.
Go ahead.
Lou, I wish you could help me remember. What is the term? It's in our policy, but it's the courses have to be within a program that is going to result in a vocational occupational goal. There's a phrase in our policy. I can't think of it right now. But so if you have these life skills or career programs that are dealing with strictly pre-vocational type skills, life skills, we do not fund those. They have to be a program that's going to lead to an actual occupation.
And what you mean by that, if you are trying to get an associate's degree, we don't pay for those pre-courses, the 0 to 90 level courses. It has to be 100 or above. That's a credit towards the associates. Now, colleges have other programs where you can get a certificate or license. We do pay for those.
Hi, I have a question about when do you start transition? So I know that I've heard them, this high school say something about a step transition in our last IEP meeting. My daughter's a junior, so when and I'm unhappy with the school district's transition, and how do I get going with you guys in getting them kick-started? I want to get going on this.
Anyone can make a referral to us. Through our STEP program, the referral typically comes from the school district because they're running the program. But if you have a student and you don't have a STEP program, but you're going to need transition services before your student graduates, you can contact us. And then we will come and meet with you and maybe even with the school and talk about how the school can help us in your student's transition.
I guess the question is, when do we start with you? You're saying we're eligible at 14 and a half. I know the school district is rigid in not starting until they graduate, really not, but so I don't want to waste time another year. She's going to be a senior. I want to get going in her senior year rather than what the school district wants to do, which is when she finishes her senior year. That's my question.
She can be referred to us right now.
And we can do it ourselves?
Yes. We would prefer to get that referral at least 6 months or more before graduation. Because if we wait, especially if your student is going to college, I know, but we do have a lot of kids that we get who come to us in May, June, or July, and they want to go to college, and we haven't been able to do a lot of things that we need to do to get that person eligible. And if they're not eligible by the time that semester starts in August, they're going to have to wait to January before we can pay. So the sooner the better. Preferably for transition cases is anytime early in the senior year. Could start in August. Can start right now because this person will be a senior next year. It takes us a while to get all the documentation and work that case up. We had a question over here.
We met with CAU. We have a daughter that has some medical things, and they said that maybe it would be better to do DRS as opposed to CAU. Do I have to pick between one or the other?
What is CAU?
Community Alternatives Unlimited, DD Funding is associated with them.
Okay.
Puns.
It's a DD program, PUNS associated?
Yeah.
My guess would be that is your son going to be eligible for that program and not DRS?
she could do either one, and it sounded like I had to pick between CAU services or your services.
You're only eligible for one at a time because of the Medicaid funding. If it's a Medicaid program, you can't be in 2 waivers at once.
Under home services, can you tell me what the AIDS waiver program and the BI waiver are?
Yes, we have 3 waiver programs. The regular waiver for everyone else, BI is traumatic brain injury, and AIDS waiver is individuals who have AIDS.
Okay.
Can we go back to the community college thing for a second? My son is in a transition program, so he's actually doing dual credit right now. We're paying for community college as well as him doing the transition program. When he ages out here in the next year or so, I guess my question to you is, he's already completed a number of years at the community college. Will that count towards the amount, or towards the number of years that you guys would cover? Does it not? Does the clock not start until he starts with you guys? I guess I'm a little unclear about that.
The clock would start when we start paying.
Okay, because he's already been involved with you guys. His person has been at his IEP meetings for years, so he's aware of him. You know, he's there in the background, but he hasn't actually started getting direct services from you guys because this transition is still doing their thing. So, so that clock doesn't count until you guys start
Paying for it.
Okay.
And I'll give you another example. I got a request Friday, I think it was. As the bureau chief, I am allowed to give exemptions. I had a counselor contact me to say that due to the fact that this individual and their disability, they had to take it slow and easy. And they've completed the 3 years already. But this person, if I give them an exception, they can finish their associate's degree next year. I gave the exception. Now, that's 4 years, and my question to the council was, is this person going to go for an associate's degree? And they said, no, with this certification, this program that they're completing, they'll be able to make pretty good money. And that's where they want it to be.
Hi, I have 2 questions. My first is, our case was sent to Arlington Heights, but then Arlington Heights bumped it over to Kane County. So do I have to always therefore now have to go in for those services even though it was beyond my control? My second question is this, at Kane County, it was recommended that the DORS representative be invited to IEP meetings, or that typically they have a presence at IEP meetings. Our school district has a liaison of the school district that's a conduit to the DORS organization, but not an employee of DORS. They're an employee of the school district. And the DORS representative, therefore, has not been present at any of our meetings. So in hindsight, I'm wondering, how do I get a DORS representative at our meetings henceforth?
That's a good question. And we're making some changes that will affect that across the state. Previously, the transition counselor or specialist that worked for the school district that did work for DRS at the same time, that person really represented the school district and would maintain some of those cases after graduation. The feds and our Do It in Springfield have told us that we can't continue that process. So we're going to, anytime that they're working with a senior, they're going to have to transfer those cases in the senior year to an adult VR counselor. So we're going to try to clean that up so that we get VR staff in there before they graduate. Because it doesn't help you, again, if you don't see that person until the summer, you don't know them, and they don't know your child.
I would just like to say something. Ma'am, you said that the case was bumped to Elgin or to Kane County. Why don't you give me a call to talk about that? We are deflecting some referrals to the Elgin office because of the amount of intake we have, but not once it's a new case. We wouldn't move the case without your request or permission.
And did we send the case there, or did they request it go there?
We would have to ask her.
We sent it? Okay.
All right, I don't.
What I would say there is, anytime we transfer due to the fact that we are short in staff in an office, that Kane County staff should be coming to Arlington Heights to meet you. The only time you have to go see them is when you request, as someone asked earlier, they would prefer to work with the Elgin office. They have to go to the Elgin office.
No, we're not moving cases, only new referrals.
With the community college initiative, I know in our community, a lot of parents are trying to have their kids utilize the transition years and then possibly do maybe a coach program at COD. Is there an age limit to when you can get help for this community college initiative? Because hoping that maybe after they did transition and the coach program, that by then maybe they've matured a little bit more, and then they would be ready to do an actual community college program.
There is no age limit, so they can start at 28, 30. As long as they go to an Illinois community college, we will take the financial responsibility.
And then, in addition to that, in our community, I've heard a lot about DRS. You only get 2 years of help.
For
I'm not
what?
sure. Right, but I'm not, 2 years of what kind of help? Is that only job coaching help, or?
Oh,
is that-
you're talking supported employment now. That's another change with WIOA, that we only have up until the age of 24, before they turn 25, to provide certain supported employment. Now, supported employment in general now is only for 2 years. There was a time when we paid for it differently, where you came into supported employment and we paid the CRP, the Community Rehab Program, to do job development. And some people never got out of job development. So that person never found a job, and we've spent $30,000. With the changes with WIOA, we don't do that anymore. We give them a flat fee to do job development now. And we don't start counting the 2 years until that person actually has a job. So now we pay them for the first day of employment, the 5th day of employment, and then every 8 weeks after that, that person continues to work. And that's for 2 years.
Okay. And can you, one more time about what's with the age of 24?
Under WIOA, supported employment, the transition process, individuals up until the age of 25 can get supported employment longer than anyone else. So they can get it up until the age of 24, before they turn 25, day before they turn 25.
Okay, so when we're talking about possibly opening a case with DRS while our kids are still in high school or while they're in transition, that has nothing to do with the 2-year limit.
It might, and the reason is, in Illinois, you can go to school up until the day of your 22nd birthday,
Right.
day before.
Right.
So if you do that, then you come out, you get those 2 years through 24.
Okay.
But if you come out of school earlier, you get the supported employment still up to the age, day before 25.
My son is 21, he is in college. We have a case with DRS. I don't understand the process when he finishes school. We are ticket to work. I don't understand that at all. So what happens when he's done with school and, who helps him get a job? Do we get a job coach? Do we?
If he graduates from high school and is no longer going to school, we will continue to work with him. If he gets his associate's degree and is looking for work, we will continue to work with him. If he gets a college degree and wants to go to work, we will continue to work with him. If he goes on and gets a master's degree or a PhD or a law degree or whatever, when they finish, we continue to work with them.
But I guess my question is, where does the job coach come from? Where does the help come from? How does that process work?
We, as counselors, we help the individual, we assist them in their job search, and if that's not successful, we pay other people to assist them in the job search.
It starts with you first, and then it goes to an outside agency, only if necessary? I
Right.
didn't understand how the outside agencies work.
We have a lot of students who graduate from college, they get help from the college. But we're also looking for a job for them also. We give them job leads. Be honest with you, I get a ton of job leads now. And you want to know why? The federal government made another change. See, it's good to be a federal agency. Any company that gets at least 8%, however they break it out, funding from the federal government, they get funding from the federal government, they're supposed to hire 8% of their staff as individuals with disabilities. So you now have them coming to me saying, hey, can you help us get individuals with disabilities who meet our qualifications? I get this one thing every month, Chicago Metro Jobs. I send it out to everyone. Now I'm sending it out all over DHS for TANF and all of that because they're looking for jobs, and I have them right there in my email.
Regarding the community college initiative again, and the ticket to work, the WISP, is it both? Can you take advantage of both, or is it either or?
You can get both.
Both.
Ticket to Work is a Social Security program. Community College Initiative is an Illinois DRS program. Even though they're both federally funded, they don't knock each other out.
So you can contact the office and get help with the community initiative, and then once they graduate, you can help continue with the getting a job, correct?
Well, if they're going back to school or they're looking for work and they want to work, once they put that ticket in play, that ticket starts even though they don't have a job. While they're in school, that ticket might be in play.
I see.
If you're working with us, we have a ticket person in Springfield that we can get you the information of where you are in the process, and we can go from there. And even if once your individual is no longer working with us and their ticket is in play, and they're working with, say, your son is working with another organization, we hand the ticket over to them so that they continue to provide that support. They're going to get funding from Social Security to continue to help that individual.
So could this be a scenario where this person would get help with the college community initiative, and at the same time, use the ticket to work to get a job, for just to pay for his, day-to-day at Mariano's, for example, and then after graduation, can apply again to get a real job? I guess that's more related to what the associate degree was on.
Well, if the ticket is in play while they're working on their associate's degree, we're still with them. They don't have to reapply.
Okay.
We're still there.
Okay. Perfect. Thank you.
Does your assistance with jobs only happen after the child graduates from high school, or do you help with summer job placement as well for kids who have a case open with DRS?
While they're in high school, the school district does most of that. If they're out of high school, we do it.
Kind of related to some questions that have just recently been asked. Like, so if we have ticket to work and that's meant to get, a real job, but in the meantime, can you have a summer job? Can you help them get that summer job? Or can you help them with an internship or having a job coach for an internship? Or is it only, like, once you graduate, then we help you get that real job?
That's another good question. Where did Ron go? Ticket to Work. You can earn so much money while you're in high school. In the summertime, you can earn even more money.
Oh, really?
They give you a larger allotment because you're not in school during those months. But they average it out over a year. So we can get you that information, exactly what it is in the summertime. I think in the summertime it's like $1,600 a month. I haven't been involved with ticket as much as I was. I was the person that set it up in Illinois when the Social Security first came up with this concept. But we passed that on to our budget unit about 5 years ago. So I would have to get you the exact amount that you can earn in the summertime.
But are there services from DRS to get that job, that summer job, or that internship, or a job coach, previous to the college graduation?
We will work with you if they're our customer,
Yeah.
and we know that they're looking for a summer job. We will work with them on finding a summer job.
Okay.
Okay, so my son just graduated from the transition program, so he just turned 22. We opened DRS back when he was a sophomore because I wanted him to start working in high school. We're just transitioning to our new person because he's an adult now. So we are doing the supportive employment. We're looking for the job. We've had a bunch of interviews. I don't understand though about up to age 24 though, that has to end the supportive employment?
No, it doesn't have to end, but the youth get more supported employment than an adult.
Okay, so after 25, if he loses his job and needs to.
He's still eligible to come back.
He's eligible to come back, but he still gets supportive employment with the job coach still, or no? That's why I guess I'm confused.
It will all depend. Usually with supported employment is for those individuals who have little or no work experience.
Okay, gotcha.
But if he has a job and he loses that job and we determine that he still needs support, we can put him back in supported employment.
Gotcha.
But they have to go to the supervisor for approval to put that person back into supported employment. They usually sign off
They
on
have
it.
to be able to get a job after so long, otherwise they're considered ineligible to be employed?
No.
Never?
No, they may not have a job. I mentioned a person, we worked 10 years, they never had a job, and they were in supported employment.
Okay, just wanted to.
We determined that, let me explain how you're eligible for supported employment. We have 3 categories of eligibility: significant, very significant, and most significant. These first 2, if you fall in those categories, you're not eligible for supported employment. Most significant, we determine that you are most significant. We have 4 questions. And if you answer yes to those 4 questions, that person is eligible for supported employment. And one of those is, have they had any work experience? So if they come back, say 2 years after they got out of the program, come back to us, we say, well, they worked for 5 years. Well, this person really still has a lot of difficulties. We may make that person eligible again for supported employment, even though they have some work experience.
And then how often are we supposed to meet with our DRS person? I'm just gonna meet with her Monday for the first time, so how often? Someone said every 8 weeks and somebody told me 90 days.
It's at least every 8 weeks. The 90 days is the employment outcome. We have a question.
Good morning, well, good afternoon. I have 2 questions. One is about the ticket to work and giving the ticket back to the CRP. How do we go about getting the ticket back when the case gets closed from SCPO milestone?
Okay, it works this way. We take the ticket. And the reason we take the ticket when they first come to us is if we don't get the ticket, we can't pay for any services. We can only provide what we call no-cost services, guidance and counseling. And the CRP can hold the ticket, but if they place that person, that's good. They're going to get the reimbursement back from Social Security. But in most cases, the customer wants us to pay for college or whatever it is, we have to have the ticket. Now, once that person is closed 90 days and they're working with the CRP, we transfer the ticket to the CRP, but the customer has to request that the ticket be withdrawn from us and given to the other CRP or the other EN, because not all employment networks are CRPs. And that transfer is pretty quick.
Okay. Then my second question is about the programming in terms of, it could be trades that you guys pay for. In the region, I'm in Region 1, but we're in the Proviso community. We found that some of the individuals who are transitioning out of high school, they are leaving with a certificate of completion, not with a diploma. Do you guys pay for them to go through a GED program? Because when they're referred to us to find them jobs, they don't have a high school diploma, and then we end up having to go through, you know, as many resources that we possibly can to help them get a GED so they can be employable.
I'm going to ask the supervisor to answer that.
Okay, Supervisor. And welcome, Cindy, because you'll be in our region.
Yes, yes.
Well, she's in your region now.
Well, she'll be in Westchester, so we'll be working together.
So if we had a customer come in that didn't have a GED or a high school diploma, and we thought that they needed to get that education, we would refer them to community resources. And it would be just a step that they would take before we'd actively help them get a job. So we don't need to pay for and provide all the services a customer needs. We tap into the community that's available as well. And actually, we call that comparable benefits.
So based on what you just said, does that mean that if a person left high school with just a certificate of completion, they could go to a community program and take the classes that were necessary to make them eligible to take college courses?
Yes, our whole practice is the customer develops a vocational goal, and we look at it being appropriate for the customer, something that they can do, based upon physical and other functional limitations. And then we do anything and everything we can to get them to that goal. So if it means stepping back and, for instance, sometimes we have mental health customers and they need to engage in the mental health treatment. And we might step back and have them work with the mental health professional. And then when they're ready to look for a job, then we would become more active. But even that, we have mental health specialists that work with us, and they would pair up getting ready for a job search with the mental health treatment at the same time. I don't know if I answered your question.
I'm not sure how we landed in mental health just now.
Yeah, I was trying to give an example.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, of other kinds of things that people need to accomplish, and one common one is mental health counseling and that kind of thing, as a step toward actually getting a job.
I'd like to add one thing before we get to the last question. Cindy gave out her telephone number. I'm not giving out mine. No, I don't mind. I'll even give you my email address. It's probably best if you're trying to communicate with me to do it by email, because I'm always on the road. I'll be in Murfreesboro tomorrow. So it's Louis, L-O-U-I-S, Hamer, H-A-M-E-R. The email address is Louis, L-O-U-I-S, .Hamer, H-A-M-E-R, @illinois.gov. I do respond to emails. Phone calls, you may not get me.
What is the email again, sir?
Louis, L-O-U-I-S, .Hamer, H-A-M-E-R, @Illinois, you have to spell it out, .gov.
Okay, we're gonna take a break. They'll probably stay up here and be nice and make.
Thank you.